I haven't heard yet. So this won't be an official meeting because we don't have a quorum, but there's still things to talk about. Just some quick background. One of the reasons we pulled this together again was had a local attorney reach out to me. A woman who died in the fall left money for projects at Ames Nowell. It's not a big amount, it's something little to do a small little project, but she didn't want it specifically given to the state. She wants it given to a local group organization to do some work up there. So it kind of underlines the need to have a friends group eventually to do some of this stuff, to collect some of these donations and stuff. I also got an email from, let's see, sorry, from Charles Brown, one of the, is he still a ranger over there?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Mark, yeah.
He was kind enough to pass along a list of issues at the park. So you'd start there. I think the first thing I'd like to do at this point, since we really can't get into any specifics, is pull together some of the immediate emergency public safety issues that I think are there, so that we can at least try to get them resolved before the weather warms up and people start really heading back over there. For example, that washed out area on the fishing spot on the far side of the pond, that's just getting worse and worse, and I guess there was an injury over there a few weeks ago.
I was there that day the guy fell.
Yeah. So, one thing I'd just like to do to start informally is to talk about what people are seeing at the park right now, any issues. The other issue was the amount of deadfall. I know your group has been just amazing in getting trails open. Still have very large trees hanging out over the trails, and it can't be up to the mountain bike group to.
You mentioned that, and I don't know where they're saying they are, because there's no trees left.
No? Okay.
None.
Because Mr. Brown mentioned that I think someone's dog was hit by a falling branch.
That's, you can't help that when the wind blows, branches break and fall.
But, so I guess, are there any, areas that need immediate addressing for public safety reasons? I haven't wandered too far off into some of the trails lately, so anyone who has, I'd be very curious if there's some spots that we need to flag for.
Like I mentioned to you, was probably 95% of the trails are maintained by the mountain bikers, and there's like 5% that we don't go near because they're washed out fire roads or just trails that really don't entertain us.
Yeah.
If you mentioned those trails to us or gave us a landmark, I'd be more than happy to go out there and take care of any stuff that might be in the way of that trail.
So there's nothing that's half fallen, that's resting against something that really could use...
Anything that looked hazardous has been cleared.
Okay.
That on the trails that we ride.
Okay.
And I think since that storm in October, between the group that gets out there was probably over 100-something trees that were...
easily enough.
Yeah, because I was like, I think I cleared like 60-something myself from October to this point. And then the other group was out there and they made it happen.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Last time I was there were definitely some leaners, but I was over on the east side of the park.
If you gave me a location, I know I cleared up anything that I saw that were leaners.
I mean, these are 50-foot trees that are leaning against another 50-foot tree, so.
They can take care of.
Yeah, I think we've seen them, and they take time.
Yeah, well, that's what
they can handle.
There are things I don't want you guys to feel like you have to do.
Sure. Well,
anything that I would normally see that I thought was hazardous.
Yeah.
And because I always say it's going to eventually come down over the trail, so they might as well get rid of it.
Exactly.
I mean, I think we'd all appreciate more help from DCR to actually take care of the park.
Yeah. 100%.
because
Yeah.
I don't see them doing it.
Right, they don't.
And they made that comment on one of the original advisory meetings, that they said there really was no money for Ames. Is what, I can't remember the lady's name.
Sue Kane.
But she straight out told us that.
Yeah, so I mean, their budgeting is really weird in that they don't have set line items for each park.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a first come, first serve, what's the biggest immediate need?
Yeah.
Or
Maybe.
Dan?
what group is screaming the loudest, or something like that. So that's kind of another impetus for this, is to start getting those voices to start saying, hey, get over here, because this is not pretty, considering the amount of volume that comes through that park every year.
Yeah. Well, that's, we put it out there on that Facebook site, and we asked for people to mention where they feel it might need to be looked at,
Yeah.
and just no one says anything.
Yeah.
So we come across it ourselves, and we'll take care of it. But at the last member meeting that we had, I mentioned that the 3 bridges, and I believe it's like around W27, those 3 bridges, they definitely need to be rebuilt. And they do have that on their, if you wanted to reach out to
Tommy Walker.
Tommy Walker, maybe you and Tommy Walker could get something going between you two, because I mentioned that to them, and they are working on some grants, and they did say that there's
I'm funding for that, yes.
some funding that they can get together for those 3 bridges, and there's funding still available for a bridge near the W8
Yeah, W8.
trail. W8 trail.
Yeah, I don't know those numbers.
Yeah.
That had been approved right before the lockdowns.
Yeah.
in
And they
March
said that
2020.
Mark Tobin still wants that built,
Yeah.
that bridge.
When you say they, you're talking about the mountain bike group?
NEMBA, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Southeast Mass NEMBA.
Yeah, they got the grant money to build the bridge near W8, and at this point, I believe there's a couple guys involved trying to get some money together to help rebuild those 3 bridges near W27. But I believe it's a process. They gotta go through the process.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys go through, you get state approval before you go and rebuild.
Yeah, they gotta go through DCS, so but they do have that one that's still existing, and they said that they do need to build it.
There are different types of grants that can be obtained. Plus, they reach out to the local businesses to try to get lumber materials. Got some lumber from the Blue Door Bridge a few years ago from 84 Lumber.
So 27 is where the pond takes that hard left and goes out. It's,
So you're looking at a map right now?
yeah, in the soft area out there.
Yeah, we would
It's not
call
the
it
boardwalk,
3
right?
bridges, right? Because there's
Yeah.
the
It's in
long winding
between,
one.
like, I believe it was W27 and W26.
Yeah, there's 2 long boardwalks, right? Or
It's 3.
There's 3,
actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the one with the railing.
Yeah.
No, no.
Right.
So it's,
Oh, the one that basically goes to nowhere.
yeah, so it's between W27 and W26. Are you looking at the
I'm just looking at the regular trail.
interactive map?
No, just the trail map, the online one.
Yeah.
What's the email, what's the address for that one again? Is it through?
It's wampy.org
Well,
/ Ames.
Yeah, wampy//Ames.org.
Yeah. No, it's just / Ames.
Yeah,
Lars
that's it.
runs the map for Wampatuck,
Okay.
Friends of Wampatuck, and so he put that up for us.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I had reached out to Rep. Sullivan in Senator Keenan's office in the town, just to let them know that, not just from Charles, but from other people, I'd heard some little things that need to be cleaned up before it starts to get warm, because nothing has been done over there, from what I can tell, for a couple of years, besides
Right.
cutting up fallen trees
Yeah.
and then stacking them over on the side.
And yeah, but how long did it take for them to get rid of that from the first cleanup?
Oh, that was there for a year too. Yeah, so if you think of anything over the next couple days, let me know, anybody who's here, so we can just put together a note for those. I mean, there's a ton of needs, but this is more just like the immediate loose railings, potholes type of thing.
I just sent that link to your phone, Rick.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know that it's immediate, but I think that main boardwalk bridge with the railing would probably need replacement in the next year.
Yeah, pieces keep getting knocked off
Yeah.
and put back up.
It's not, if it was my house, I'd replaced it 2
I
years
actually
ago.
mentioned that to them. I mentioned that when we first went into the pandemic,
Yeah.
those rails, because I went out and I screwed the top rails, because one of the top rails had fallen off.
Yeah.
So I screwed those back on and tightened them up, and I mentioned to Mark that a lot of the boards need to be replaced and put back on.
That's the way I think about it. Like, I would love to see Ames be maintained and treated the way Wampatuck is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a
That bridge would never have lived like that in Wampatuck. It would have been taken care of years ago.
So I have a gap for about 10 years where I didn't go there, and that was a time when they built the boardwalk. At one time, was there always the trees right next to it, or was it clear cut for a while?
Which
I'm
was,
sure that they had grown up
Yeah.
since that bridge has been built.
you mean looking out over the pond?
Yeah, looking towards the pond, yeah.
Along the edge of the boardwalk, just the
The
growth.
boardwalk with the handrail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
They kind of starting to suffocate that bridge with all the trees growing up beside it.
That's kind of my
But I feel like
question.
there's not a lot you can do with that, because that's active wetland,
Yeah.
Well,
you know?
good thing we happen to have the chairman of the Conservation Commission with us now. I think that's certainly one of the questions to ask is what
Yeah.
work you are allowed to do, because there are some room for, scenic vistas for, to do that. But,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I don't know if that would meet the consideration, the definition of one. You'd have
Hey,
to-
if I could mention Scenic Vistas, this time of year, if you go from the parking lot along the road that runs down to, we'll call it the north end of the project, north end of the pond,
Yeah,
as you go along, there's a little opening with a picnic table. And I guess it was gonna be
oh, okay, yeah,
campsites at one point, because there's a couple little openings. But if you look out at this time of year, if you go out there and look out to the Project West portion, what you notice is it's beautiful.
yeah.
And that will, that's a pretty easy walk out and back for people. It's, but the problem is, in the summertime, the trees grow up and they get covered with leaves, and that goes away.
Yeah.
So you're walking in the woods again, which is pleasant, but the scenic vistas are pretty pleasant on that side, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting, I'm just having a look at these maps, that they include the trails that are on private property.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the trail's there.
It's a trail map.
Yeah. For instance, they have a trail going out to the new development on John L. Sullivan Way. We can't use it now, but it's there on the
Well,
map.
if you talk to one of the other hikers out there, he's been saying that that's an easement, and he will go through that because
That's interesting.
the homeowner has posted no trespass, but he uses it, and he actually went out there with DCR, and they told him that he has to allow access to his
That's
property from John L. Sullivan to that trail.
All right.
John O'Sullivan is a road
Is
off
the
of
road.
Hancock?
So
Just a
at the end of
development.
Cleveland's edge,
Yep.
the trail that goes out to
Yep.
the Beaver.
Yeah, that was always accessible
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about that is if you look on Google Maps, those houses show that they're in the park. But they're probably.
Yeah, there was some question about how far that goes, because you're right, there was an easement, but the question is where it stopped.
One of the,
Yeah.
because one of the landowners was, they were backfilling into, I believe, might have been
Yes.
wetlands or
Yes, they were.
conservation.
Yeah, it was
Yes, they were.
before my time.
And they
They-
came out and told them to stop.
There was a retention basin for the development, and they decided they didn't like the look of it, and so they just basically started filling it in and changing it.
Yeah.
They were told in no uncertain terms, you can't do that. And they didn't want to listen, but they eventually did. So, yeah, I think that the plan over the next couple of months is I'd like to finish this project. My initial goal was town meeting, but I don't think it's gonna happen, but, within the next couple of months, so that we can move into the next phase, which is putting together an official friends group, so we can start, I think, getting resources together to start doing some stuff up there. Putting the infrastructure together to have a point of contact between DCR and the Friends group. Following the path of what Friends of Borderland, Friends of Wampatuck do, because they've both been very, very successful.
Well, if DCR sees that people are putting together friends groups and actually contributing resources of their own, DCR looks favorably on that, and then decides to allocate funds or resources.
Yep. So we want to be the proverbial squeaky wheel and start to get more up there. The state might cry poor mouth, but it's not poor right now. So, we can be another voice advocating for additional resources for state parks. It doesn't have to just be Ames Nowell, but for state parks in general. I wish I had an update for you on the status of the Porekhi estate. Last I knew, they had unwound the pilot program deal that they had initially struck and were moving forward with the tax title taking. But with the pandemic, everything has just become so backlogged with the non-essential, non-emergency cases that I don't. It got bogged down.
Abington did go out there.
Yeah.
Because they posted some stuff out there.
So whether or not it is officially, title in hand, I'm not sure. And then we have to remember, I think when I first moved into town, they voted to basically put the language in place that once the town gets it, they're going to sell it to the state, and the state's ready to buy it. There's I think, a deal in place to basically put that puzzle piece in, which would have some fun. Anybody know how the Beavers are doing out there? They still working hard?
Yeah, they're still active.
Okay.
In fact, I saw some, not new stuff, but every time I go by, I don't ride it in that area at all.
No, that area stays wet almost year round.
But every time I go there, it seems like it's getting a little more windy.
Even now that they've moved closer to the power lines.
Yeah, right, that's what I was seeing, and cut off one of the paths that was there.
Yeah.
And so the beaver dam isn't really dam like what you'd expect beaver dam to be. It's like this high, but it's just they keep piling sticks up.
That's all they do.
It's kinda
They
cool.
flooded up about maybe 2 feet.
Yeah.
And,
And nobody else is riding there, so, people walk there, but that's not.
I just can't find the trail path when I go out there. I mean, we took a hike and we got completely lost and
I
had to
want to
push
say
our
2
way up
years
the power
ago,
lines.
that was when we were in the drought, and
Yeah.
that area was completely dry, but last year with all the rain,
Yeah.
it's just been wet. But so if you go in off of Chestnut Street and walk maybe
Quarter mile?
quarter mile,
Yeah.
on the left, so
Yeah.
Tobin's Ridge will come out and goes right across, and that's like the Beaver Trail right there, so you go right into where they're active.
I'd be happy to walk it with you if you contact me.
Yeah, I think at some point we're going to do a big walk again.
Yeah.
I think we want to do a cleanup on the.
But even if you want to go out and scout, whatever your thoughts might be for improvement, I'm happy to point things out.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Dan Dowling, sorry.
Dan Dowling, okay. Let me just make a note who's here. What's your name?
Jason Dunkerley.
Can you spell that last name for me?
Sure, Dunkerley.
Okay.
Colette Rajat, it's Collette, Rajat, R-A-J-O-T-T-E.
R-A-J-O-T-T-E.
T-T-E.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I live near the park, I go up there all the time. I don't really venture into the trails very much. I would like to,
Yeah.
but I seem to always run into a lot of water and,
Oh, yeah?
yeah. I haven't done it in probably a year, so I don't know what it's like now, but I love it up there. I think
Yeah.
it's a great resource. and-
What part of the park are you closest to? The main
Linwood,
entrance?
yeah, right near Linwood,
Yep.
yeah. So I think it's a great treasure that we have, and we should try to make it better.
It is great.
Yeah.
I think your comment really hits home on one of the big things that we talked about, I think, in the master plan is more signage.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just signs up on the trees
Yes.
that, indicate this is a real trail, and
Right.
you can follow the numbers and know
Yeah.
where to go.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that goes to the 95% comment that I made earlier, that maybe some of the trails you're hitting are the fire roads that get washed out, and that's as mountain bikes tend to
Yeah.
stay away from those areas.
Right.
And at times they've laid just planks down
Yeah.
to try to cross, but the water just consumes those
Yeah.
planks.
Yeah.
Even the trails on the east side, the nice and easy side, was really mucky a few times. We had a lot of rain last year, but
Yeah.
they can probably use some, I won't say regrading, but whatever happens. And then the pathways along the shore line, the really narrow one, some of the old bridges are now in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So they need to be kind of
Yeah.
relocated. So it's all sorts of stuff like that.
Those are more bog bridges, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
They get knocked around or whatever.
Yeah.
One other thing I remembered is that that big climbing rock right near where the area is washed out, the side of it's all covered in poison ivy at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that poison ivy should be gone because that's, if you're a parent and you
Yeah.
bring your kid there and they get poison ivy, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the end of that.
So the
There
whole
was a
grassy
sign
area.
there At one time.
Yeah, for a while.
Sign away.
And you mean the big rock, like,
Yeah.
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 really?
Yeah.
No, it's covered in,
If you're walking
Just on
towards
the-
a rock to the left, that's poison
Yeah.
ivy that's growing up the rock.
Wow.
Basically the grassy area on the other side of the berm, towards that rock, it's all poison ivy in there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what we can use to get rid of it or spray anything or whatnot, but,
Get some goats.
Exactly.
you're
That's the-
not far off. I
that's
like the
best
idea.
way.
But, that's something that really I think should be dealt with before.
And you also mentioned about the washout.
Yeah,
And what
that's bad.
they filled it probably every year. it
Yeah,
just
and they keep
washes out.
building.
With loose
they
gravel?
keep- So they keep fighting it.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is allow the water to get to the pond.
right, it needs a proper drainage.
Yeah, it needs like a 12-inch pipe
Well-
or whatever, just to carry the water through that
That's
section.
why it's
Then-
working.
Because
They need to
it's
do
a
that
sudden, it's a sudden pitch. And,
Right.
I mean, I'm not a builder, but there must be some size rock that will be able to stay in there, let the water flow through, but won't get washed out.
oh, perhaps.
Well, that would be,
Yeah.
instead of just filling it with dirt.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't- don't fill it with dirt or pebbles or something, but it must be some
Right.
sort of,
Yeah, you could put like a,
Inch and a half stone or something like that.
yeah, the 3/4 would be too small.
Yeah. And what they're using is crusher run.
Yeah.
So it's,
It just washes out.
it just washes it.
but that's now a very clear safety issue.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do a cleanup though, maybe it's beneficial we go out a month before and
go
go
around.
walk and just make like a checklist of
Yep.
areas to tackle.
All right, so I'll reschedule this meeting for a couple of weeks from now so that we can meet for real and chat for real and go through some of our lists and whatnot.
Because even like that, I'm sure the shoreline there by the dams is gonna need to be cut again, and I can go before
Yeah.
recuse myself and go before the board and ask for permission for that.
Yeah, I think the year after we had the big cleanup and cut it all down, they actually brought a crew in either once a year or twice that summer to keep it low.
Yeah. Well, so
that-
DCR has resources for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's just making sure they include Ames Nowell.
Right.
But what was interesting is either Matt or Charles, I forget who I was speaking with, actually liked it trimmed because it means he could see the far side of
Yeah.
the pond. He couldn't initially, and it's a public
Well,
safety
even,
thing.
so on my end, if I may, coming out of the parking lot down towards the pond, the clearer that is, at least initially, because people get a little concerned about undergrowth because it's like, it's dark and forbidding, so to
Yeah.
speak. But if you have long views, if you can get some long views.
Right, it's more
you know,
inviting.
It puts you at ease.
Yep.
Wander around a bit.
Yeah. All right, so we'll reschedule this. We'll also figure out a weekend that we can go take a big hike or something, figure out what needs are. the main priority, I think, is always just to start with what people see the most, which is that the parking area, the entrance, those initial trails right off the
Yeah.
parking lot. Making sure those are nice and clean and safe, and then you can start to spread out
Yeah, and that's
throughout the
been
rest.
done pretty well, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
not
it's
bad.
open. It's
Yeah,
just it's
all
almost
trails
too
are
open.
Open in that area.
Yeah.
Anything that's been cut is usually just stacked off to the side out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, which probably isn't the best plan.
It's, if you go to any park.
Is it?
That's the norm.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they tend to just get it off trail, get
Okay.
it out of the way.
Yeah.
Did you have? Oh, look like you're ready to just. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
But I'd suggest if you're planning to reschedule, maybe reach out to Tommy Walker, invite him.
Okay.
He's the now president, right?
Yeah, he's president of
Yeah.
Southeast Mass
you know,
chapter.
they maybe
Yeah.
can come in and, maybe have some suggestions or listen to some of our suggestions.
Oh, I mean, you guys are there way more than we are, and you have
3
a
times a
bigger.
week?
Yeah, you guys have a bigger stake in a lot of this. So I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things we wanted to do that reflects, I think, your involvement is to make this an active recreation facility versus, some are more passive, which is you
Yeah.
go, you walk, and that's it.
Do you still have on your notes a couple of the parking areas?
Yep. I still want to put parking area on Chestnut, official parking area.
Oh,
gates.
yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be one,
Yeah.
they pointed out,
They did do that pipe work, so it has now made it easier to pull off on the side of
Okay.
Chestnut, where they cleared the growth back. So it's just dirty right now, but
My other long-term fantasy is to have that be the home course for the Abington cross-country team. But
I see a lot of people out there running.
yeah, I don't know what the conditions are, what you have to do to it, but
Mhm.
there's lots of parking and there's lots of trails, and
yeah.
it's better than, I know they're not thrilled with what they use now, which is basically running around Memorial Field a couple times.
Oh, really?
That Ames would be great.
Yeah, we used to run from the back of the high school out into Shore Ave and around the loop in Shore Ave, and Paul Byron would chase us in his car. And head down, I don't know, down to the Grove and back, and, down to the Frollio and back up.
I think someone said that they used to have cross-country meets there, but, it was 20 years ago or something.
It
but-
really wouldn't be that much work to make a proper course in there.
Yeah, it
And
really
you know,
just
'Cause
comes down to
yeah, because
that.
they're typically, what, 5K?
Yeah.
3 miles
Yeah.
of
About 3
5K?
miles.
Yeah.
You could make it pretty decent, even a 1 mile loop that you do 3 times would be.
I mean,
amazing.
just running down Cleveland's Edge.
That's
is
what I
a
was just
mile.
thinking.
That's a mile loop and then
Right.
coming back, it's like 3/4 mile.
I raced cross-country in high school. We had many courses, it was 2 or 3 laps. And that's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you went from the main entrance to that picnic table you were talking
Yeah,
about.
There's one called Cleveland's Edge, it's that,
okay.
that trail.
I walked it a couple of months ago. It's like 2.5 miles or something. So you have to have some little leg at the
Yeah.
end or something. But
There's
Yeah.
plenty of opportunity for little
yeah,
jogs out over there.
Yeah.
but I think it'd be a great way to get people there and to it's plenty of parking to do tri
Yeah,
school meets and
I tell you, in the last year or so, I definitely seen some growth over there. There's a lot more people hiking and
Yeah.
a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, we see more people.
the traffic is there. I mean, the traffic is there for this to be a significant park. So
Yeah.
it's just to get the resources and to get some of this easy stuff. For instance, there's some park benches that now have trees right in front of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, right?
but they're sizable trees now, so we have to have real tools to get in
Move the
there and
bench.
cut them. Well, or remove the bench.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to cut the trees because then it falls under that scenic vista
Oh, yeah.
versus all the other stuff you'd have to do. But they're 8-inch caliber trees now, so. All right. Well, thank you for coming out. I apologize that we don't have a quorum. I thought we would. We'll reschedule for a couple weeks from now so that we can do some official work. If you think of anything to add, please email me the next couple of days because
right now I really think what the main concern is those bridges, because that's a connector between both sides of the
Both sides,
park.
yeah.
all right, I'm gonna head out there next
Yeah.
couple of days. I guess big windstorm tonight, so you'll be out there too.
Yeah, there's probably some work to be done soon.
Yeah.
Well, someone mentioned that to me today, and I said, well, the good thing is the leaves are off the trees.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
true.
didn't understand that leaves are usually the reason why the tree comes down.
Absolutely.
Is it?
So a question, how many people make a quorum?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Exactly.
So we're supposed to be a 5-member board. Our 5th member never really did anything. I hesitated to get a 5th because I always thought we were wrapping things up, and here we are 2.5 years later, and we're still wrapping things up. So we have 4 members. I knew one wouldn't be here tonight, but the other, everyone else had said this works, so I just wanted to kind of get it going. And then I'm not sure what happened to Chris, so we'll find
So
out.
you have to have 75%?
We have to have 3 of 5 for
3
4.
or 5?
Yeah. So,
So can anyone come to these meetings, or
Yes.
is it a special? Okay.
nope, this is open public meeting.
Okay.
Under state law,
And we hope we see you
Now,
next time.
you've posted it on the Ames Nowell site. Do you post it anywhere else?
yep, posted it on, I think it's on the town
All the
Your
site.
town site? Okay.
Posted on my news site,
All
posted
right.
it.
So it's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just,
there's a lot going on. It's a busy week.
yeah.
It's going to be up on YouTube. So let me just to get this out. I can be reached specifically for this at friendsofamesnowell@gmail.com. It's AMESNOWELL, not KNOLL. Anyone who has interest in coming to these meetings or just have a general thought can email us there. If you email, it then becomes public record because this is part of a public committee for the time being. But yeah, anybody who comes to the meeting, it's a public meeting. Under state law, we don't have to let you speak, but we do want to hear you speak because this is reflective of people who are using the park and have thoughts. And we've gotten so many great ideas from the people who've come here and chatted. It wouldn't be very productive if we said, no, we don't want to hear from you folks. So, all right. Thank you very much for coming out. Like I said, we'll be in touch with another meeting soon.
Thank you.
That's all I got.